Another thing to understand about value is that it is always relevant to the alternative. So you cannot think about value without thinking about what the alternatives are. So technically what we're talking about here is price elasticity and price elasticity curves, but it's important to understand that there are actually two different types of price elasticity. One we'll call price elasticity of demand, and that's what we've been talking about, right? In most cases, the lower the price, the higher the demand in terms of volume. So that's one form of price elasticity. It's important to understand, though, that that curve is not usually a straight line. It flattens off in both ends. There's a great Japanese saying, "Tada horo takai mono wa nai." Nothing is as expensive as what you get for free. So if you're a podcaster, you would think that, well, I want to get the maximum audience, I should be free. But no, that does not follow. It doesn't follow for two reasons. One is, at the bottom of the price elasticity of demand curve, if something is free, it is perceived to have less value. The lower the price, the lower the perception of value in most cases. You can shape that and influence it, but that's generally true. And the other reason you make price is that when a person has paid for something, they have more of a commitment to use it. So if I've paid for a subscription to a podcast, I am more likely to, in most cases, I am more likely to actually listen to it. So there are lots of reasons to have a price. Now, and so you have to pay attention, to what other people are pricing, both in general, because that sets the general frame. So most people expect podcasts to cost between $3 and $15. If I want to make a very strong statement, I may say my podcast costs you $1,000 a month. Not very many people are going to sign up for that. But some people would happily pay $1,000 a month for a podcast from someone who they thought could solve some incredibly important problem for them. They might even pay more. If someone said, I do podcasts for venture capital, and what I do is I identify the next unicorn. Unicorn being a private company worth more than $1 billion. Let's just say I have a proven track record of doing this. If you were a VC, you might pay $10,000 a month for those insights. But then there is the other side of price elasticity, which is called cross-price elasticity. Now, cross-price elasticity is the price at which you would switch vendors. So there's the overall price elasticity of demand, which determines the demand of the whole market. And then there is cross-price elasticity, which is your switching price. So let's take a simple example. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Most people prefer Coca-Cola. I believe that the market statistics show that. There is a group, and there are certain markets where Pepsi is far preferred over Coke. So each has its loyal base of followers. As long as the price is within a certain range, the overall demand does not change that much. So there's a sort of flat part in their price elasticity of demand curve, where bringing the price down a little bit or up a little bit does not change overall demand for cola-based drinks. However, Coca-Cola and Pepsi have to keep an eye on the other's pricing, because if Pepsi Cola were suddenly to be 50% cheaper than Coke, there are some Coke drinkers who would switch. There are some people who say, no, I would never switch. Okay, maybe. But if Coca-Cola was 5 times as expensive as Pepsi, would you switch? Well, I bet quite a few people would. So there are these two different concepts, right? Price elasticity of demand and cross-price elasticity, and you have to keep your eye on both. I have lots of choices. There are lots of podcasts for me to listen to. In the sort of $3 to $15 range, I'm not price sensitive. I don't care very much. But if let's say we're talking about a more expensive podcast, say $100 a month, if I have a choice between one that's $20 a month and one that's $100 a month, I have to really believe I'm getting more value from the one that's $100 a month. The price is not going to have much impact on my total consumption of podcasts, but cross-price elasticity will lead me to switch.